Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
Welcome back to Real Estate on the Rocks. My name's Dave Snowberger.
And I'm Marshall Tucker.
James Mendez.
Sweet. No Alicia still. Cricket.
She's on appointments.
Oh, good for her. Everybody needs more appointments. Let me see here. Today, what are we going to talk about, gentlemen? I brought up the other day, I love that word, I say it too much. 30 days of pain. So we wanted to come up and develop our program as Top Shelf Agents evolves. We wanted to really kind of start pouring into other people and really have an actionable, scalable, intentional 30 days of pain that's going to keep you consistent through those 30 days into making money and getting more appointments and ultimately helping more people, right? This business is about helping people. The more people you help, the more money you make.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
Cool.
Yep.
Let's get to it. I would recommend 10 to 12 hours a day. That's a day. That's not consistently 10 hours straight. That's a day. There's 24 hours in a day. I would recommend working 10 to 12 of those, doing something that would be considered working towards your goal of getting more appointments and getting clients. Correct?
Yep.
All right. 1 hour every morning you come into the office, whether you got a home office or you have a market center like one of the big box brokerages, or you've got just your regular old office that you rent like we do, nice little office with a few people in it. And we come in every morning and we script practice. And we role play. We go through scenarios every day, really on the topics that we're about to engage in with our lead gen. Some days it's FSBOs. Some days it's expireds. Some days it's withdrawals. Some days it's a combination of all three. And some days it's nothing. We talk about just follow-up or conversations we did have and how we could get better at them. Right? Very important stuff. What else you got, Marshall?
10 to 12 hours a day seems like a normal day to me, but most of my mornings start about 5 in the morning. And from there, I kind of get my mind straight, look at Facebook, make my coffee, get ready for the morning. And then, yes, we show up here at 8 o'clock. We go through scripting for about the first 30 to 40 minutes. It can be really about anything. I usually ask James what he wants to script with today. And from there, we kind of move over to social media. So we start hitting the birthdays, going in there and telling everyone happy birthday, and not just a HBD or happy birthday, but you say happy birthday with their name in there. And maybe like, I hope it's a great week for you. If you've already been kind of following them, throw something in there. Hey, are you going to Houston still this week? And that's a great time for you to leave comments. Just kind of snoop around, find out about their lives. So if you end up making your calls later on that day, you got some ammunition that you can use to actually speak with them about. So you're not just calling like, oh, hey, it's me again. I'm just calling you to pump you for information. But no, I'm calling you because, hey, you're my friend. And I saw you just graduated from whatever or this and that happened in your life.
Life events.
You can just bring up, great things to talk about.
Smart. I know that we put that plan in action a long time ago, and it's really evolved into that. I used to do the same thing, was put a smiley face with bday behind it.
You gotta have a GIF now. It's gotta be moving around.
A happy bday, and so now it's more of a call to action, like, hey, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. What plans do you have? ? And 80% of the time, just like everything else we do, is the Pareto principle. We gauge it through that. Is 80% of the time they answer. And a lot of times, sometimes I even get an invite. Hey, we're going to happy hour at 5. Do you want to go? And I'm like, dang it.
They're going to make me pay.
Realtors always pay, right? And so, the comments, the likes, the congrats on life events, things like that, the congratulations stuff. Anybody, having a baby, just got married. Yes, even if they bought a house from somebody else, a lot of times you can say congratulations and show there's no animosity there and keep the friendship going, that if they ever need you in the future, they can certainly reach out. However, at that time, they more than likely had somebody else they knew, like, and trusted that went with. What's up, bud?
A lot of people get orphaned as well. So if it's that kind of agent who just makes the deal and they're closed, and they'll never talk to them again. So it's a great time to step in and build that relationship for the next sale or for the next family member they have or whoever.
Absolutely. Solid point right there. Okay. And so that's your first hour. So scripts, role play, get into social media, get engaged with people, get out there, create some top of mind awareness every morning that you're a realtor, you're a professional, you're the person they want to use if they're going to buy, sell, or possibly start investing into real estate. You are the person that they want to touch. Well, that sounds kind of weird. However, okay, so then you're going to break directly into now maybe go get a sip of water, go get a cup of coffee, refill your coffee. You got it all ready to roll. You're hyped up. You're beating on your chest a little bit. Here we go. 4 straight hours. Minimum of 2. 4 straight hours of prospecting.
Or more if you can handle it.
Lead generate, lead follow up, lead conversion. What does that look like for you, Marshall? Lead generating is easy. In my opinion, it's easy to open your computer.
That first dial's easy.
Get the leads up there, right? And then start calling. That's the hard part, is when you actually start having to have conversations, right? So that's the one where your mind starts playing games with you.
Right. I mean, the first call of the day I said is easy, but that's the follow-up is the hard part. But we'll go back to the first call of the day because that is kind of rusty when you start up. Once you start getting into your groove of 2 or 3 calls, it just all falls in the line. And before you know it, you're almost done. So
I typically want to make more calls.
Yeah, you start getting into a groove and you're like, yeah.
Or I hear, like, I sometimes I don't pick up the phone yet, and I hear Marshall or you start getting into it and having great conversation. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I want to have those conversations.
Yeah.
The only way I can do that is if I start calling people. And then I pull it up and see 123 Main Street. Well, James just talked to this guy. It's like, cool. I'll save that person. I'll push them to the back of the list for the next hour. Agents do that all the time. They're like, oh, well, James already called them. I'm not going to call them. They don't know. They're not going to make the correlation that you and the agent next to you or you in the same office know each other.
That's happened to us several times.
Marshall and I have done that repeatedly. Oh man, this is a great conversation with this person. Oh yeah, me too. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, he's going to work at Apple, and then like James will turn his head around. What?
How did you know that?
Well, no, I think we brought this up in a previous show. Was you walked in, James was all happy about, I've got this appointment with this person. He's going to list with me, and he states some of the attributes about the guy, and all of a sudden I was like, you might want to go talk to Marshall because I think he has the same exact appointment. So may the best man win.
That's fun though. I mean, once it gets going, I found the biggest struggle was that first dial. And so the faster you can get in and just dial the number and not have to think about it.
Yeah, don't think about it. Just hit top.
Yeah, as soon as you can dial that first one, and it starts getting progressively easier because then you're just working down the list. I'm like, oh, on to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. But yeah, I've always struggled with that. For some reason, that first call is my worst first dial. Or my worst dial, just because it takes me so long to get going. But once I do, like it's so much easier.
If you have that good conversation early off too, it just makes everything else.
I've had a couple of those.
Yeah. Prospecting sucks, but the more you stay consistent at it, and every day you push yourself to do the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them at a high level, you come in every day with the mindset that I'm going to make, have 10 conversations. And what's a conversation? We used to say this about leads. What's a lead? A conversation is a conversation with a decision-making adult that wants to buy or can buy or sell real estate.
Yeah.
Right? That's a conversation. Mm-hmm. And so I would put a minimum of those of 5. Sometimes 5 conversations is really tough to do. You might have to make 100+ dials. You might have to make 200 dials. I remember a certain agent, I won't bring up his name, but it rhymes with Marshall Tucker. And
sounds like a cool guy.
This is when we first got when we first got our dialer a while back, and Marshall would be like, "Yep, got to make 100 calls today." And so he let the triple dialer. It's a triple dialer. That means it's dialing
10 minutes. I was out to lunch.
3 phone numbers at a time, and seriously, like in a record time in 34 minutes, she's like, "That's easy. I made 100 calls today." And he had talked to nobody. He was like gauging that as success.
Everyone's so worried about. Look at this.
Yeah, he's walking around like puffing his chest out, like, look at me. I was like, oh my God, Marshall.
That's awesome. But
no, you go.
No, I was just laughing. The dialer does help though. I mean, it makes the process, because I've done with the expired list. Hand dialing takes forever.
What I tell you about the dialer is you don't have to push the buttons, and second of all, the ring, you don't hear the ring, so it's just kind of the answer, and then you're ready to go. Versus the that you just hear 1,000 times a day.
It takes some of the anxiety out of it.
Exactly. I hear a phone ring now. I'm like,
Marshall starts panicking. But it's good. I mean, you can work down that list and then take your notes in it and stuff, and so then it's all there. Because right now, for a little while, I was having to write everything down on a little piece of paper, a little space in between each name, and take my little notes and plan the follow up through that. So yeah, if you can do a dialer, that's definitely the way to go.
So you said the first call is usually the hardest for you, but what's even harder is the lead follow-up. Calling them the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh time after maybe they even told you that we're not in the market anymore, or they told you some kind of deflection, and to keep calling them.
Yeah,
That's the hard part.
Persistency pays off, though. And see, I differ a little bit. I think the first call is a lot harder than the follow-up. So that's where we, our personalities, I guess, kind of change, because after one conversation, I typically feel like I know people, and that's even meaning them then I meet somebody around the office and, I walk down the hallway and I'm like, what's up, bro? And people are like, does he always talk like that? And he's like, yeah, yeah, he does. Like, what up, playa? I'm just kind of like, people are just like, Ruth says the other day, one of our people in the office, one of the leadership was like, why do you always say that? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do I say? What? I'm like, what's up, playa? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just been ingrained in me since high school, and I mean, I'm 40 plus now. Got to throw in the plus, but
I'm 36.
It's just having fun, and so I think the lead follow up is a little bit easier. The hardest thing for me about the lead follow up is staying consistent in it, to call once a week, or 14 days out, or 21 days out. I never ask people to call me. Sometimes they do. However, I typically don't call them. I'm sorry, I don't have them call me. I call them, and so it works in our favor. And I think our conversion rate, which leads us into lead conversion, really shoots through the roof there with our lead follow-up. And that's what this is lead follow-up. Lead follow-up can also be measured in, if you're doing anything with online leads, if you are subscribing to somebody that, or paying for leads, and a lead comes in. Zillow gets a really bad rap. Zillow sucks, but they also get a bad rap just because a lot of agents think that, just because they buy Zillow leads, it's done from there. Remember, those leads still have to be converted. You still have to have great conversations around those leads. That's not someone just picking up the phone and saying, hey, I saw you, we're interested in 123 Main Street. Let's meet there at noon and write a contract. That's not how it goes. However, the industry sells it down the river that way, is that, it's like they talk very poorly about agents that buy Zillow leads. However, those Zillow leads still have to be converted. Yeah. Or any of those leads. There's OpCity, there's Agent Pronto, there's Trulia, there's Redfin, there's Realtor.com. There's all kinds of lead generation systems out there to lead generate for you. However, they come at a cost. That's why I don't like them, is they come at a cost, and such an expensive cost. Yeah. So
just for doing your job for you.
Right. And you can always see that that's a temporary solution to a permanent problem. Lead generation is a permanent problem that you need to engage with. So 4 hours a day.
Every day.
4 hours a day, every day, Monday through Friday. 4 hours of prospecting, lead generate, lead follow-up, lead conversion.
And on the weekends, open houses.
Right, which you can call some of that lead generation you're doing 4 hours that day.
Lead generation and lead conversion.
Lead generation's just not on the phone. Mm-hmm. Lead generation, I mean, I do Facebook ads. I do Craigslist ads are still huge with me. I can still get the phone ringing through Craigslist. I do plenty of stuff out there where I just kind of staying, what I always like to use the term, omnipresent, top of mind awareness, right? And so I'm always out there creating something that's lead generation, whether I'm shooting videos or I'm doing a Wilco Eats, or we're doing some of these podcasts or what. I mean, it's just all revolves around lead generation and staying into the business and becoming one of those professionals that just drills down in their business and knows everything about it, and it conveys when you get out there and you start that lead generation process.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to you can circle prospect, you can door knock, you can do other things around that open house that you're going to be doing on the weekend,
right, that
can still lead to gaining clients.
Right.
So, I mean, it all revolves around the same thing. You just got to allocate your time.
That right there is beautiful. I mean, Saturday or Sunday, you're going to go out and work 2 open houses, right? Don't sell yourself short. Use minimum of 10 signs. And before you get the 10 signs out, the day before or 2 days before, go out with a piece of paper, something that you can a flyer for that property that states all the, attributes of the property, some nice pictures on it, and you can walk that up to doors and knock on them. And it's not necessarily about that person coming to the open house. They might know a buyer, but the biggest thing in there is what that lead generation is that you're getting present. You're getting face-to-face time with them. Belly-to-belly, face-to-face is the best stuff in this business. You're getting that time with them, and they're seeing how proactive you are. And so when it is time for them to listen, you stay consistent at it. Yeah. Who are they going to call?
They're going to call you.
Right, because they keep seeing your flyers. They keep seeing you drill down on that neighborhood and working that neighborhood. It pays dividends, trust me.
It does.
Okay. And then so my 4 hours is done. Now it's time for some grub. Let's go eat some lunch.
My favorite hour of the day.
Right. What should we do when we
Cut me down.
What should we do? Lunches. We've certainly realized over the past few years that eating out every single day gets kind of costly, and especially when you're new agents and you don't have a great budget, bringing food to the office or going home to eat is massive. It saves you tons of money. We've worked it out before where we've spent a majority of the money that Marshall and I spend all the time because we're buddies and we go out to lunch every day and then we come back and start hitting it again. We spend $200 to $300 a month each. So let's just average that out between him and I hanging out 20 days out of the month and going to lunch costs us together collectively $500. Now, if we save that money and eat in every day, and we can drop that cost of lunch every month by $300-400, and we can then turn around and put that money back into our business or buy new microphones for the podcast or headphones or whatever it is, it just pays dividends. And a lot of times it gives us time to sit down for the next 2 hours where we segue into training and education, how important that is. Every day train. Should be one of your biggest focuses throughout your career. It's always education and growth and progression and refinement of your skills and your craft. Yeah, hone your skills. That's how you train. Let's give them some examples of where they can get training. Some people just don't know, but there's training. With technology these days, there's training at our fingertips, right? So there's podcasts, there's Audible, books on tape, or whatever it is. You've got YouTube. You've got... you
can sit down with the contract and just read over the contract and make sure that you're well versed in it.
Right. And so you can pull out, I say 2 hours a day, do training. And most of these people, I would say, are in the mindset that we're talking about 10 hours of a blocked schedule of 10 hours a day. No, you can take an hour a night before you go to bed and start reading that contract. That's what I did. And that's what I suggest to new agents, especially new agents coming to the market, that you really want to know that buyer's agent contract. You want to know all the loopholes in it. You want to know what it says. Marshall's got a great story about this. Just the other day, by him knowing the contract and knowing all the terminology in the contract, by him studying that contract so much, it didn't save the deal. The deal still fell through. However,
saved my client their earnest money.
Right. It saved his client 40 days of wasted time. We were off the market. So we're going to have to go back to the market with our seller empty in hand when, there was a breach of contract, and we clearly knew that. And one thing was we kept getting the blowback from the other side, the buyer side, and we pushed back a little bit harder because he knew the terminology. And once I got involved, it was kind of like, look, this is what we snipped the contract. This is what it says in the contract, and this is what we're going to adhere to. Because if you don't, what reason is it to have a contract? Then everything else just becomes merely a suggestion. Yeah. And so that's no way to sell real estate or hold people's feet to the fire is through suggestions. You have to have a contract. So they had to live by it. And so once that email went over, they signed the release.
Yeah, had she known the contract better and she was actually protecting her client, she would have realized that she needed to put an extension out way earlier than the day of closing, and
2 hours before closing,
and then try to renegotiate with a really low ball cash offer when we were in multiple offers in the beginning and yada yada. But she needed to know the contract better.
It boils down to training and education.
And then pushing the blame onto the other people or whatever. It just comes down to the contract.
Right. And so everybody's brokers, everybody's the lender, everybody was on the side of the email when it went out from us, and not one pushback, because we clearly stated this is the contract, and it's because we know the contract in and out. It's our job. It's our profession to know it. And one thing I can't stand is even some days brokers these days that have their broker's license that don't know the contract. It's like,
no ill will either. I want to reach out to her and just be like, hey, this is how you protect your client next time, so this doesn't happen to you again.
That's not your space, but she'll probably tell you to go to hell.
Probably.
So I would
lick her wounds.
Yeah, let her be. And
I liked your guys your idea with the contract, because even I read a lot of books, so I'm constantly, they're folding all over the place and they kind of get beat up a little bit, which drives me nuts. So laminating the contract was a great idea. You can write on it, you can mark it up, you can practice filling it out, or somebody getting somebody else's contract or kind of viewing it and writing the stuff in and really understanding it, but you can look at it without destroying the paper.
It used to take me 3 or 4 hours to write a contract. I can crank one out now about 30 minutes.
Yeah, just because you know it well. Or less. So I used to do that. I laminated. I kept it by my bed and I would read. I saw some goofy thing when I was probably a teenager about suggestions on how to retain information. And it was to read it forwards, then actually read it backwards,
Yeah.
the whole contract, and then read it forwards again.
Yeah.
And I would do that. I still do that to this day with everything that I feel that I need to retain, that I need to really kind of, this would be valuable in my career, or this would be a valuable piece of information to give back to other agents. I do that all the time, is I still read it forwards. And so hence the saying, read it forwards and backwards, but I would actually do it, and it really does help. So
I don't know why that came about, that saying, but yeah, it helps a lot for retention, and just the repetition of it, of going through it and being able to know those little key facts can be, can make or break you in a contract or a deal.
So training, education, like I said, everything's out there under the sun. One of my favorite places, when I was YouTube trained, I always say that. I listened a lot to a gentleman named Mike Ferry, not Tom Ferry. I listened to Mike Ferry, his dad. And his dad had that real tough exterior approach to things, that belly to belly, face to face. And if you're not ready to buy now, or you're not ready to sell now, see you later, buddy. I'm going for the person, And certainly that can be a great part of how you do this. However, a lot of this stuff that we deal with these days is more of a nurture. And so I would watch maybe some more of that training, get into Brian Buffini maybe. Now there's Tom Ferry. Who's that?
Kevin Ward.
Bald fella?
Kevin Ward.
Kevin Ward. And then there's 100,000 people on the internet that I've never heard of that are offering advice up. However, I would stick to the basics, the guys that are staying out there. One of my favorites is actually Tim and Julie Harris, Harris Coaching. They're fantastic in their message. They have more of that get down to brass tacks. Grit. Yeah, the grit, stop BSing yourself, no woo-woo. This isn't about
it's not how you feel.
Vision boards, or what else? There's the vision boards, and then there's the what's that movie? The Secret. Where you visualize. I'm visualize selling homes, and I think visualization is actually cool, because you can visualize like a listing appointment, right? You can put your mind already there. But however, visualizing gumdrops and Bentleys and $1 million real estate, that doesn't necessarily come to fruition as much as hard work does.
Yeah. There's actually a study, speaking of that, where people who just practice and people who just visualize, and then they had a third group do the visualization and the practical exercise, and they succeeded by percentage significantly more than everybody else.
And we've done that in our training, is where we sit there and we go through a listing appointment and we knock on the door, and I don't know how that's going to sound, but bam, bam, bam. We knock on the door and we say, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We had an appointment at 3:00, and tap your watch. It just, we do all this stuff, and it's 3:00. May I come in? Which you're horrible at. You just barge in. You just basically kick the door open and.
Oh man,
breaking and entering.
Always asked to come into someone's house, especially a lady's house.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on real quick. 2 hours also. Okay, so now we've done an hour of scripting and role play. We're at 4 hours of prospecting. We've switched over. We've had a little bit of lunch. Now we've done some training throughout the day. Now we need to spend about 2 hours working on our systems and strategies, building systems and strategies, or working within, if you're on a team, working within their systems and strategies to really more understand it. A lot of teams these days are plug and play. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. Get in there and do what they're doing to have success. You join their team for a reason. Do it. Typically, you join the brokerage. If you're not on a team, you're a solo agent. You've joined the brokerage because more than likely they've been successful. They stood out to you. They show you that how to do the things. Do the things that the broker tells you to do. Right? If you have no guidance, no strategies, refer back to the training and education and get out there and learn it from somebody putting it out in the market center.
There's plenty of people that already, there's plenty of people that have already done it and perfected it, and in different versions of the same thing. Learn from them. Zero reason to reinvent the wheel in this business. Yep. I thought I was going to come in, and that was some of the best advice I got from a broker named John Schutte, one of my best friend's dads, and I really wanted to work for him, and he was like, I don't need you, kid. It's like, I don't have the training for you. I can't spend any time with you. Best thing you can do is go get trained up at one of these big brokerages and then join me later on down the road. So he let me know quick that, he didn't have time for me. I forgot my point on that. However, we're going to move on. The last 2 hours of the day really should be spent on appointments. You control your schedule. You need to time block your schedule. If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. You can use any terminology you want. However, I would typically try to set appointments
at the end of the day. And that way you can do your thing. You can go show some homes, maybe go on a listing appointment or two. I would start timing the gaps between appointments or the drive time between appointments. Leave yourself 2 to 3 hours of doing that. And if you don't have any appointments yet, because this is the 30 days of pain, if this is for realtors that are decided to hop on this 30 days of pain, they might not have a lot of appointments yet. We would suggest that you hit builder inventory or just go out and view inventory, period. A lot of times, homes are vacant, especially over certain price points. They're always vacant. If you really want to see the house, make the appointment.
Yep.
Just go look at it. Just make the appointment. And if they can, if you're displacing them from their house and they got to load up 10, 20 pets, go find another house.
Right.
I
got a lot of out of state clients, so I'll do that anyway. I'll pop into a house just to make a recording real quick and then pop out. And at least I've seen the house for the next person. Yeah.
Our job is, if you're going to be a professional at doing this, it's your job's to know the inventory. I can't tell you how many times that the inventory's popped up and I just can't find what I'm looking for over here. I'm like, dude, have you tried the new build neighborhood over here? And they're paying 6%. And so we've done that. I've sat at a lunch. I heard an agent talking to another agent at a table, and I think you were with me, but I leaned over to that agent and I was like, hey, have you talked to, because they weren't from Georgetown, clearly. However, we know the inventory in Georgetown, and they were out there, and I'm like, I'm getting sick and tired of driving all the way out here, and the house goes right under contract. I'm like, hey, what about new builds? It's like 1 block over from them. You should try this. Call this person right here. This is the on-site. That girl ends up closing 2 of them.
Dang.
And so she should have thrown me a bone, but she didn't.
Another thing you can do is if you have an open house scheduled for the weekend and there's about 3 or 4 or whatever mini homes that are active in the general area, go visit those homes so that you know what they look like compared to your open house or your listing. And then that way you can either know how to better sell your home or you can shop it out to someone else.
Right. Get involved with networking events. There's plenty of happy hours going around all over town. Even if you don't drink, if you're a single agent, maybe, head over to, one of the happening bars, hang out at the bar a little bit, have a club soda. Yeah. Don't go with Steve Full. Have a club soda or something, with a lime. Nobody ever knows what you're drinking, grab some food and strike up conversation. That's a great way, belly to belly, face to face, to start building rapport with people and learn how to strategically insert into the conversation or inject into the conversation that you are a realtor and that you sell real estate. And then,
an easy way to do that, ask them what they do. What do you do for a living?
Right.
Get those questions going. And
a lot of times once they get that going and I get their conversation flowing, that's when I can start relating what I do for a living to the things that they do. I'm an attorney, I'm a divorce attorney. It's like, what's up?
I met you before.
I'm Dave. I haven't met you before. I've never been divorced.
I'm talking about that one client.
So, yeah, it's like you start doing that. I'm in construction. No, what do you do? Well, I work for a home builder. Oh, no kidding. How do you guys list your homes over there? You haven't even told them yet you're a realtor. Just how do you guys usually list your homes? How do you sell your homes? Yep. Usually the builder just throws a sign out front. We get phone calls. It's a pain in the butt because I always have to talk to these people. I'm the foreman, but the builder's never around, and we get buyers that come out. It's like, oh, really?
People love to vent when they're unhappy with their work situation.
You're like, what's up? I'm Dave. Check out this mustache on my card.
Oh my God. No, but business to business relationships are very important for you, through your entire career. Like builders and plumbers and painters and
moving teams, people who cut your hair.
People are constantly asking you for connections.
Realtors are always the common denominator in kind of like the hub of business.
Yeah.
It seems realtors are just connectors. It's what we inherently do because we know so many people, right? Yeah. And my client wise, how many clients do I have that I've sold homes to or sold homes for that I've been able to give something back to their business? Mm-hmm. Some of them I can't because they're cops or, they're whatever.
Hope you're not giving to their business.
Yeah. I got several people that I've set up their business Facebook pages for them and got them rocking and rolling so that they can start utilizing the social medias.
The movers, the limo driver.
You got to train people though. Yeah. There's a lot of people. I think I got 5 pages right now that I control, but I just kind of don't pay attention to them once they get going.
That's awesome.
There's where was I going with that? But yeah, you got to train people up though. You got to ask them. So whenever you start building them up and you start referring them out, you got to let them know, hey, I've been referring this person to you, this person referred you, I've referred this one to you, and then tell them that whenever they hear of real estate, to refer it back to you. Here, carry some of my cards, pass these cards out. Good.
Boom, that hit something with me right there. If you have a referral partner that you've referred countless people to and they've given you nothing,
Time to move on.
drop them.
Yep.
Don't continue the relationship with them. You can be their friends. However, don't refer them anything else. Look for somebody else in their business. I always talk about reciprocation of leads. So I had someone call the other day that was like, hey, we've got clients that are going to be moving to Austin. I've got multiple clients, and this is what it is that I worked for. My husband works for an airline, and so a lot of the airlines their pilots are retiring, and so a lot of people are looking right there in the hill country where you sell real estate. How do I know that I'll be your referral partner in Houston? And I was like, well, you don't. That's where trust comes into this, right?
Yep.
This is where, I have to, right. Yeah. And so right now, this is who we refer business to in Houston, and this is why, right? And so now, until you send me anything, I can't send you really anything and break that relationship I have with that realtor in Houston. Yeah. However, send me something and you go directly to the top of our list, right? And so if that person in Houston doesn't send us anything over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, then there's a problem there. If you're sending us things and we have things going out, we're feeding them, but they're not feeding us. You know, there's always that reciprocation clause. Yeah. Like if you're not feeding us, we're not feeding you. Mm-hmm. And that goes with business, whatever else. I can't stand that stuff. We had somebody, I'll back off that story. Never mind. We used a professional company out there 3 times in a month, and they made an absorbent amount of money in sales off of us. Yep. And then we found out they bought a house with a realtor in our office. That wasn't us. And so that right there crushed that guy's with me. We just actually cut that out, but Marshall actually said the name of the company. We're not going to give you that. So James is going to go back. That's where that little pause just came from, was we just cut that out. So so if you're going to do business with people, they need to do business with you. And really that's how it is. And don't just keep feeding people that aren't going to reciprocate back to you. So I'll leave that one alone. So those are the steps right there. 30 days of pain. Get in there every single day. Be intentional. 1 hour scripts, role play, get on social media, stand out, create top of mind awareness. What that is be omnipresent in front of people saying, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. I am a realtor. Move on directly into 4 hours of prospecting, lead generation, lead follow-up, lead conversion, prepping for open houses, door knocking, whatever it is. There's 7 forms of direct income producing activity. Do those in those hours. All right. And if you don't know what those 7 are, reach out to us at Top Shelf at 88,000. Text us that and we'll send over a little list of what those activities are. 2 hours of education and training and contracts. So that was just an idea of training. You could be learning the contracts at a high level, right? Yep. And so everything you should be doing here for that 30 days of pain, if it's not painful, then it's not hard enough. Yep. So make it harder on yourself. Push, push, push. And then we got 2 hours of systems and strategies, whether you're in a team and you're learning their systems and strategies, whether you're creating your own, whether you're mirroring and matching your broker's systems and strategies, do something towards that every day. Systematize your day. Come up with a strategy to get more of your unfair share. 2 hours of appointments. If you don't have any appointments for that first week or 2, you will get appointments. You stay consistent at those hours, the activities I just told you about, you will have appointments. Meanwhile, if you don't, visit builder inventory. Visit the inventory that's on the market right now. Go drop by FSBOs, knock on the door, and tell them you want to see the house. Typically, that's how other people are showing up. They're knocking on the door. They're giving them a call. Go view the inventory, right? And then networking can be with other professionals. Yeah. I try to stay away from other realtors, but business to business work, and then other builders, everybody. Just tell everybody you're not a secret agent. Get out there and let people know what you do for a living. Yep.
Boom. If you're a new agent, I'm sorry, James. If you're a new agent, carry some business cards with you. He's over there
like chomping at the bit to get in the microphone, and I give it to him, and he's like,
just carry 10 business cards in your pocket and make it your goal every day to make sure they're all gone. And don't just drop them on the ground or pass them out to someone. Have a conversation.
Baby steps. Start with 5.
Go get a haircut and talk to the hairstylist. Tell them what you do.
Those are good connectors too.
Exactly.
Find people who also are great connectors, and start, communicating with them. Agents are going to friend you on Facebook and everywhere else. So you can avoid connecting with agents for the first, almost 6 months and still have tons of agent friends on Facebook or
stay away from local agents, but if they're,
out of area ones are great
great resources.
Yeah.
And follow up with everybody you get in contact with. I mean, if you're meeting people out, if you're meeting builders, there should be one rule that should be unbreakable, is that when you talk to somebody and you get their name, write it down in your phone, send yourself a quick text, write it into a text and send it over to yourself. Go look for that person. We have the access as realtors to look at maybe where that person lives. You can go out and find their address on one of the appraisal district websites, right? And so you pull it up, and it's pretty much a shot that 80% of the time you're going to get somebody on there that owns a house or whatever else, and you can send them a handwritten note. That's huge. Hey, it was nice to meet you. Builder-wise, send it to their office. Hey, it was nice to meet you out on that property. You have a beautiful home. I can't wait to sell one of them. Let me know if I can ever do anything for you. Look forward to seeing you again. Dave.
Yeah, that'll
Send it
stand
to
out.
him.
Stand
Yeah,
out more
stands
than
out.
pretty much anybody else. You might get a message from somebody, and I connect better with people who I've met, and then they'll send me messages. They'll send me an email, and they're making an effort to communicate with me, and then I feel almost obligated to continue that conversation and reciprocate back to them.
But you got to think about how many agents are also floating through there. So you want to make sure you stay omnipresent in their mind. So send them the card, send them some chocolate, show up every weekend or, like clockwork, just stay consistent.
Right. Okay, fellas, it's been a little while here. Let's go ahead and get out of the studio. We have another episode coming up in about the next 10 seconds, so stick around for that. We'd like to thank Mike. We'd like to thank Mike Harrell over at Guaranteed Rate, the sponsor of our show. He's actually going to be on our show pretty soon, so look for that episode if you're in replay mode. He's a Guaranteed Rate. He is just a ninja when it comes to this. He has a 10 to 14 day close, can knock it out and really help you compete and stand out in a hyper crazy market. So anything else? If you need us, you can find us over at Top Shelf Agents on Facebook, or text us at 88,000, or text Top Shelf to 88,000. We look forward to talking to you next time, and I'm out.